Hey, this is Bondy here, and this is Sparkster for the Super Nintendo. This is also going to be the last Sparkster Rocket Knight game for 16-bit Winter, since there's only 3 16-bit Rocket Knight games. And unlike the other Rocket Knight games, this game has the intro before the title. But it basically just shows the princess, I guess, giving herself up so that way the king can be safe, you know, guarantee, or either that or she's just getting kidnapped. She's being kidnapped by Generaliso Lioness, so they're basically just a bunch of, like, wolves, despite the name Lion in it, but at least that's what I know, anyway. So, yeah, here's Sparkster, and we're just going to go to the setup quickly here. Now, in this game I'm going to go on hard, because while in the Genesis Sparkster you had to go on hard to get the last cutscene, in this game you need to go on hard to get to the last level. So yeah, let's begin. And here he is. In Super Nintendo Sparkster, the gameplay mechanics and controls are actually very similar to the first Rocket Knight Adventures, except for this. You have a rolling move with the L and R buttons. That comes in very handy with maneuverability, such as in the air, because normally when you rocket up, you can't rocket or do anything again, but if you use a roll, you'll get out of it. It makes maneuvering very easy. The only problem with the rolling move is if you do it too much, Sparkster will go into a weird stun animation, so that it's just to prevent you from not abusing it too much. And it gives you slight invulnerability, but it's not as reliable as you would think. And you also have a bunch of gems to collect. In this game, if you collect 100 of them, you get a free life. And quite nice water reflections. This game makes good use of the Super Nintendo's graphical capabilities and music capabilities, as you can hear as well. So, with this game, I wasn't as lucky as the other 2 games in terms of getting it for cheap. This one I paid $30 for on eBay. And to be honest, that's probably a bit cheaper than you would find for these days. I won't lie, finding this and Genesis Sparkster are pretty hard to come by. And after we get past that, we have the first mini-boss, which is a monkey bot. You know, and it's convenient that it has bananas, as you know, holding on to bananas, because it's a monkey. But after a few hits, it goes down pretty easily. The rolling move I tried to do earlier, sometimes, if you're lucky, if you time it right, you can roll past enemies, because the worst thing you want to have in this game is if you get cornered by like a boss or something. And then, once we're inside the ship, which was done automatically during a cutscene, by the way, we go in and there's a bunch of robots to defeat. These robot dog things, they'll throw bones at you and stuff. So basically, the main enemy, as I said earlier, are like basically wolves / dogs. And if you can rocket through certain walls to get through, to get health items and such. Rocketing is very fast in this game. I almost want to say it's too fast though, because Rocket Knight Adventures had a good balance of like speed and control, while this one you just zoom instantly. And if you boost through that box down there, it'll just spawn enemies repeatedly, so don't do that. The guys with the shields, the spiked shields, you can only hit them with rocket slashes, or I think side boost works too. Spin attacks are good for control attacks though, because I find that rocketing into enemies isn't very effective in this game, because you'll end up like running into enemies like that. And like I said, it's just an instant, you know, it goes way too fast for me, but it's still manageable. And oh, just before we can rescue the princess, here's our good friend Axel, but then we have to fight a boss right away, which is this rocket, or robot knight, I guess you could say. He shoots lasers, and you gotta make sure to dodge, or you can just boost diagonally up like I did and die. Fortunately, we have almost 100 gems. So after we get rid of these guys and collect a few more gems, and I anticipated that way too early, and there we go, we got an extra life. Extra lives in this game is a little bit easier to come by because of the gems, so it's not random like the roulette system in the Genesis Sparkster. So let's try this again. The trick with this boss is you have to lure its lasers and then jump over it. Using the LNR attacks comes in very handy with maneuvering around, but then you also gotta watch out for these little robots he spews out. It can be quite annoying, especially on the hardest difficulty, when they can do a lot of damage to you. However, I managed to get him with only half a heart left. That's fortunate. And we already cleared the first stage. And we get just a generic clear bonus and a life bonus for whatever heart's remaining. And score doesn't really matter in this game though, because it doesn't really grade the extra lives. So this is the second stage, which is a factory, I believe. There's lots of different ways to go through. This is actually a very big level to go through. There's also different multiple paths and stuff. Because like the Genesis Sparkster, this Sparkster has quite a few levels that are very open and you can explore all over kind of thing. And find different routes and stuff. And see, I'm just going all over the place trying to find the right way. And the enemies in here are a little annoying. Especially those flying robots. They can... Normally you can kill them in one hit on normal, but on hard they take a couple hits to destroy or one full rocket attack. Fortunately, there's quite a few things to find around here. In terms of control, I'm a bit better in this game than the Genesis Sparkster. Maybe it's because I'm more used to the Super Nintendo controller, or maybe it's just his movements might be a bit more refined here than the Genesis one, because its design and movement is based more around the first Rocket Knight adventure. And don't fall in the lava, by the way. This isn't really... But at the same time, it's like I still have troubles trying to control him. Despite... And I want to get those bananas, but... Okay, he disappeared. Okay. Oh yeah, another thing. This game goes back to apples and bananas. Just like in the first Rocket Knight adventures, instead of like the apples and the chicken in the Genesis Sparkster. So, yes, there's quite a few references to make comparisons to. The music, though, it shares most of the music. Some levels and tracks are unique to each other, though. But it's hard for me to really pick, in terms of music, what ones I like better. I kind of like the sound quality of the Super Nintendo songs better, but I'll admit the Genesis versions have a bit more percussion, and yeah, you can get flattened by those, by the way, especially if enemies knock you into them. But as I was saying, the music and but I think I like both versions just about as equally for their own reasons, kind of. But yeah, I still have slight problems controlling Sparkster in this. Not as bad as the Genesis Sparkster, but... And those guys in minecarts, you can only hit them directly, like when you boost into them, or hit them with your sword. Which is another thing that kind of throwed me off, because in the Genesis Sparkster, you can just rocket into lizards in the minecarts and I'd kill them. And we got these welding things here. One thing I do like about all the different Rocket Knight games, at least the three ones from, 93, 94, they all play out differently from each other. They're all basically the same concept, but just done differently. I think that's very interesting, and that boss buzzsaw does not want me to get past it, so we have to destroy it. Quick spin attack will take care of that. So, yeah, I mean, each game has its own different design, different feel, different kind of control, different mechanics, and that's very interesting to me. That's why I like having all three games to Let's Play and compare to. It makes it very... It's interesting for me. Because I like games that kind of do that in a series, that don't differentiate from each other too much, but still kind of like, you know, sort of evolve and tried out different things in that. And I guess you could say the same thing about the new Rocky Knight game too, or the modern one that came out in 2010, which I will let's play after this, by the way, in case you didn't know that already. But yeah, this level is actually pretty long and complex. And of course, it wouldn't be a platformer without conveyor belts. And those rollers there will they'll press you and kill you instantly. So don't run into them. Don't rocket into them. Don't be aggressive with your rocketing, because. And I got an extra life from the gems, yay! Because well, rocketing, like I said, and the best and maneuvering with the L and R rolling is a little tricky at times, especially when you rocket up and try and get up to platforms. It's a technique that I use quite a bit. But I will admit it's a little tricky. And oh, what's he gonna do? Oh, he can't do anything because he's just all he can do is just look up at me, and I can just rocket down into him. And right here we have what is perhaps the most easiest mini boss in this entire game, even on the hardest difficulty. Well, the hardest difficulty we can select anyway. I think there's actually a crazy hard mode, believe it or not. Not that I'd be willing to try it, especially while I'm let's playing it. And there's nothing really in there. I don't know why I did that. And we have this, I guess, screening area, and oh look, there's it's a 1-up item, and if you hit it, it'll run a roulette thing. Ooh, 2-up, that's a good one. That's lucky. You can actually collect those just regularly, like you can just you can just jump into the bubble and you'll just get the 1-up itself, but if you feel like you want to risk getting possibly like 2 or even 3-ups, you can. And there's another thing up here too with lots of gems. Yeah, the general consensus is always, whenever it's like something that gives you extra lives, you want to collect as many of them as you can. Basically old Mario logic. And if we jump down all the way down here, we have the boss, which is this big, I don't know, boiler or something that, and the stuff on the conveyor belt can hurt you, so watch out for that. Here I try to get on top of it and just spin attack it, but I should have just kept mashing the sword button, just hitting it with the sword over and over. But unlike Rocket Knight Adventures, I don't think it does. I think it does more damage than the projectile you shoot, but it's not like in Rocket Knight Adventures where the sword does critical damage or anything, so it's not as effective. And that was lucky because normally when you kill this, or not kill this guy, normally when you fight this guy, he grabs stuff and you like twirl stuff around and like shoot stuff, and he takes like 5 years to explode, and then we clear the stage. Well, I'm actually doing relatively well considering, because in the Genesis Sparkster I tried to play that on hard and that didn't go well. Here I'm doing a bit better, though there's one fight that'll make things quite difficult, but we're not quite there yet.